Welcome to the Bitter Upper Lip. My name is Tyler, your host as always. Thank you very much for joining me. And much ado from a very long break, a lot has happened. I have passed the bar exam in my state, the great state of Georgia. So we're going to be appropriately celebrating with a big, audacious beer. So if you probably gathered from the title, this is a very, very special treat. And this is going to be one of a couple beers I'm going to kick off basically doing a cellar raid, a few depth charges, if you will. So what we're going to review today is the 2012 vintage of Stone's Imperial Russian Stout. This has been provided by the great people over at Point Growlers in Athens, Georgia. Great establishment. I was visiting my girlfriend over the weekend and basically saw that they had this on their whiteboard, and I had to kind of double check because obviously like 2012 I'm like, no way. But went over there and sure enough, the proprietor's like basically was able to find and get like 20 kegs of the stuff, and by the time I got there he's like, yeah, I'm basically down to 2 kegs. So I did not hesitate. I have had Stone's Imperial Russian Stout before, way back in the day. I have not had it for a very long time. I'm not sure at the time of taping this because I've kind of been out of the scene with a lot of Stone beers. I don't know if they're making the Russian Imperial Stout anymore. I do remember back in the day it was a very reliable beer you could get when they released it. Great beer for the price point. And actually didn't cost too much of an arm and a leg in this regard. But one of the many gifts that my wonderful girlfriend Erin got for me in lieu of obviously passing the bar exam. So obviously this is clearly in a 32-ounce growler. I have had the beer again before on draft and in growlers, but definitely not one that is this old. So going into the numbers, the beer comes in at 10.5% ABV. That, of course, was at release. And at release, it had 65 IBUs. It is a Russian Imperial Stout, so all the dark mysteries and flavors that come along with that. So without further ado, let's get this in a glass and see what it is about. Okay, you might have heard that nice hiss. Yeah, this looks like I'm pouring the soul of a demon into a glass. Bring it up here for you. Okay. Let me just go ahead and cap that while I'm at it. Yeah. Okay, so not much head, but actually a little bit of head coming on. And the head, big bubbles. It's quickly dissipating. Definitely has a deep brown mocha color to it, almost like chocolate milk or like coffee with cream in it. There is like absolutely no light coming through this. It is a dark hoppy heart. Looks like a ninja hood, basically like motor oil inside the glass. Definitely getting some alcohol legs on this. Definitely conveying how big, thick, and chewy this beer is. Like the legs are putting off a brown film on the side of the glass. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous beer. Again, kind of real, you can see here, big coarse bubbles. There's pretty much nothing on the top of this. So let's go ahead and get a whiff on it. Yeah. So definitely has that cellared beer smell to it. Doesn't have like the wet cardboard or any of the tactile smells that you get from bad cellaring. It's a lot of like dark cherries, raisins I'm getting off this. Bit of a milk chocolate. There's a little bit of the roastiness coming through, but I'm getting much more of the berry and the dark fruit smells. Maybe a little bit like a tobacco smell, kind of like a burnt vegetation smell. There's also a bit of a like a tanned leather smell a little bit on the nose. Definitely smells the sage. Again, this is obviously we're filming this in 2021, and this was bottled in 2012, or kegged rather in 2012. All right, well, moment of truth. The reason you came here. Let's go ahead and wet our lips on this. Cheers. Mm. Oh yeah. So apologies for my terrible Temptations impression, but oh sweet Jesus. Yeah, that is brown and silky. All right, so front of the tongue, I'm definitely getting some of that from the aroma, some of that same Cellared kind of cherry raisin sweetness, but right before it goes to middle of the tongue, that roastiness is really coming out. The subtle on the nose is much, much more prominent in the flavor. Um, at this point, I'm not getting any kind of what I would consider detectable hop presence of this, which, given the age, is not too unreal, but kind of like a burnt oatmeal flavor on this. And with that, the mouthfeel is fantastic in this. It's a Russian Imperial Stout, and that is exactly what it's presenting itself as. You can almost chew this beer. Yeah, the roastiness continues to roll back. I'm starting to get more some of a like a baker's kind of spice thing. I'm getting almost like some cinnamon and some nutmeg actually. As much as I'm not a fan of the flavor, like a bit of a black licorice. I do not like black licorice, but coupled with all the other flavors, it's not bad. But I'm getting that very bitter, rooty kind of sweetness on the back end of the tongue. All that fruitiness that I was getting at the front of the tongue is not really there toward the back. Stupid long finish too. I'm still like it's almost like I just still took a drink. It is just sticking to my mouth. Yeah. I'm getting a little kind of the chocolate notes, like some of the milk chocolate I was getting on the nose a bit. I'm getting some of that, but if I'm being honest, like the roastiness that I'm getting and some of the sweetness from kind of the cherry and the raisin notes is more what I'm tasting. So not really getting a lot of chocolate, I would say, on the flavor. It really is a pretty unbridled roasty taste to it. Maybe a little bit of coffee, but in a way it's unbridledly tastes like roasted grains in a good way. Carbonation too. Again, because this is from a growler, which obviously came from draft, I'm keeping that in mind with the carbonation, but it's nice and subtle, enough to be lively on the palate, but still maintain that very heavy body, smooth glory type experience that you're wanting from a Russian Imperial Stout. And also doing its job to not cloy over the finish. Like I want a nice long finish on beers like this. So yeah, coming out of the bottle, like I'm not really getting a whole lot of new aromas since it's warmed up and it's been able to breathe a bit. Um, to reiterate, I mean, this has been probably cellared in the best possible way you could imagine in terms of it being a keg in cellared conditions for 9 years. So it tastes cellared in all the ways that you would expect without having, again, that kind of wet paper, wet cardboard taste that, bad cellaring can result into. I am very surprised by how, even as like with typically with a lot of cellared beers, you're going to get some new flavors, of course, which I've had this beer fresh and I remember it was like just coffee, 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 coffee with some chocolate. Don't remember getting a lot of fruity notes off of it. It was much more like your molasses, things like that. Now that it's cellared, it's much more dark fruit forward, almost no real chocolate on the flavor, and much of the roastiness has been replaced by a roasted grain and not really a roasted coffee flavor. That being said, though, it is interesting how I am able to pick up a lot of distinctive flavors out of this, and it doesn't taste as melded as I thought it would be. And I don't know, that might make sense to a lot of you beer guys out there what I'm talking about, but you get like usually with like a lot of barley wines, they have that very nice uniform just it flavor. This still has a lot of kind of flavors walking their own path, like in use and holding hands, but yeah, it's still like super super complex beer. Yeah. Again, 10.5 ABV. I'm not getting any of the alcohol on it. There's a little tickle of it, but I'm not getting any kind of burn out of it. And just the general body of this Russian Imperial Stout filling my mouth. It's very cloying. This dangerous. This beer will get you in trouble. So, but yeah, without further ado, I'm that's pretty much all I've got to say on this beer. Again, I think it is out of production, so if you can get your hands on any kind of stone Imperial Russian Stouts, go ahead and grab them. They are a great beer for cellaring. Very happy I could share this with y'all, and apologies for the long hiatus, but things are moving. We're at a better place. So next couple of reviews, like I said, I'm going to be pulling some stuff out of the cellar, some really really old things, a few surprises along the way, and we will come to that place next time. So as always, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. And just remember to keep your mind clear, your heart pure, and your upper lip bitter. We'll see you next time.